What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. We are live on this channel, so if you can see me, give me a thumbs up. Say hello in the chat. How's it going? How's your weekend starting? We are actually going to be doing readings tonight on the channel. We're doing tarot readings. So if you guys want to get a reading, scan that QR code right up here. It's going to take you to my PayPal where you can make a donation for a reading. We're doing 1-card spreads for 20, 3-card spreads for 40. Make sure you include your question or any information pertaining to your reading in the memo. We also take super chat. And I should let everybody know we are filming this live on Friday, May the 10th in the PM hours. So if you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday, we are no longer live. Please don't send any donations for readings. If you do, we will refund you. I have to say that because people get excited and they start typing in their questions and then, you know, they realize that I'm no longer live. I'm probably sleeping. Anyway, if you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, click the bell button below. Make sure you're subscribed. We are here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, telling you guys what's up with the cosmos, talking about astrology, using tarot to help kind of guide us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody's weekend going? I see there's a couple people in the chat. Wild Moon's here to claim her reading. Sherry's joining us for the first time. What's up, Dorothy? She says, happy vacay. Well, thank you. Getting a little sun out here in Florida, so feeling a little cooked, but that's okay. So basically the way that this works is you send in your question. We're going to pull the cards live on air. We're going to do the reading for everybody who is watching. So just be mindful of that. It's going to be a public forum. And those of you guys who are level 3 members, if you guys didn't already know, we take those members first. I'm a full-time content creator here on YouTube. So if you guys like my content, lots of information, lots of videos. We teach as we go also along the way, both tarot and astrology. We've got horoscopes, new and full moon reports, weekly reports, much, much more. Consider supporting me by joining my memberships and supporting the channel. So speaking of that, we need to give a shout out to everybody who is level 2 and 3 members. It's kind of the beginning of the month, so it's a good time to do it. So people like Cece, Laverne, Shira, Amy, Rosary, Brandy, Catherine Murray, Diego Sanchez, Brittany, Wild Moonchild, Leota, Darlene, Christine, Queen of Light Bulbs, He Sent Me Orbs, Erica, Grow Up Together, Nancy Celerito, My Life is Jordan, MK, Indie Intuitive, Victoria Rusk, Thunder Spooks, Claire, Blunt Hair, Jessica Solis, Deanna, Enchanted Crossroads, Jen, Sharon, Steve, Paula, Angela Willow, Emma, Taliba, Jackie, Jessa Martinez, and Susan Wexler. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and making it possible for me to be here. David's in the chat. Sonia's in the chat. We'll get right on into it. So let's go ahead and start with Wild Moonchild. She asks, my question is, I'm on vacation from the 15th to the 21st, and I'm going to Seattle, Washington. How will my trip go? So let's take a look. Let's see what the tarot says about her trip. That's fun. What are you planning to do in Washington? Are you going to catch a a baseball game while you're there? So let's see what the cards say about this trip. We're going to pull 3 cards for her. All right, so it was in this order. Oof! We've got 8 of Swords, 7 of Wands, 10 of Swords. I'm wondering, what is the reasoning for going there? Are you recovering from something? Or are you just trying to like check out, like what's the deal? Because that 10 of Swords can be pretty gnarly. So you've got 8 of Swords, 7 of Wands, 10 of Swords. I'm gonna flip the deck over to see what the confirmation is for the 10 of Swords. We got the 9 of Cups. So basically for me, it seems like part of what's going on is that there is both the sense of being like, I want to go, but also like the whole process of like getting there and like making the time to get there and maybe feeling like a little stressed out or concerned about either getting around or the process of like actually being there. 8 of Swords is coming up, which is saying that there can be things that you're like, feeling like the doom of, oh, going through the airport or like having delays or things like that. Eight of Swords talks about situations that are out of your control and like the stress and anxiety about things that you don't want to deal with pertaining to travel. Then you have got the Seven of Wands coming up. So that talks about overcoming the situation, going on the trip, even though maybe there's going to be some bumps along the way, it being successful and feeling very determined to get to where you're going. So you're like, no, nothing's going to kind of delay me or keep me from going. Ten of Swords is a difficult card in the final position. There we go. She says, I'm attending an astrology workshop. I'm so excited. Well, it's about Chiron. Okay, so it can be healing things. There can be the sense of having awareness because the swords do deal with information, knowledge, you know, what we're reading, what we're learning, people who are talking about things. And the Ten of Swords is completing something. So maybe there's going to be this sense of like awareness that's like, oh, this is why I've had the issues that I've had, you know, and you understand a lot more about Chiron. Obviously, we've got, you know, transits that are happening around Chiron. You know, currently we've had a Mercury retrograde there. We're also getting ready to see Mars go into Aries, and it's approaching the North Node in Chiron as well. So maybe it's going to give you like the confidence in being like, okay, now I can finally put an end to old cycles, or I can complete something. Sometimes when the Ten of Swords comes up, it does talk about disappointment. So I don't know specifically what conference it is that you're going to. I wonder if it's going to be about you finally getting there and being like, okay, I didn't get to, you know, see everything that I wanted to see, or kind of feeling like you're leaving a little underwhelmed. But the Nine of Cups being the confirmation card does make me feel like this is also about giving yourself the okay to really take a break and like turn off and be like, okay, this is my time to focus on what I want to do. I don't need to feel bad about it. There can be something that's also coming up where you're kind of going back and forth being like, okay, it was good that I went, but there's some kind of hang up. That Ten of Swords also makes me feel like there is going to be a sense of you having a better understanding when it comes to your astrological practice about what is worth the investment when it comes to education. So I'm not saying it's not going to have a good time, but I do feel like you might look at it and go, okay, I spent money going to this place and going to this whole process and going to the conference, and you're going to look at it and maybe go, I might do something different next time. I might, you know, tune in and watch it, you know, from my computer. I might decide to do something closer to home. There is going to be a sense of being like, cool, I did it. That's great. But, you know, that's complete. I don't necessarily feel like I need to do that again. If anything, it's more the challenge actually getting there. And sometimes the Ten of Swords can be a card that comes up where we're feeling like our sleep cycles are thrown off, or we're kind of feeling like it's hard to rest or to recuperate. So I don't know if there's going to be like time zone changes or anything like that that can make it difficult for you to feel like you're settled. And it can even just be like being out of your home and not feeling like totally like settled with where you are. Nevertheless, that Nine of Cups confirming is saying that it's a good thing that you're going. In the end, I do think the trip is going to go smoothly. And I really feel like that Seven of Wands is talking about going and doing something that is different and something that is challenging. Maybe it's that you're going by yourself, or that you're kind of going to a place that you haven't been before, or you're going and doing something out of your comfort zone. So it is encouraging you to push through and still go through with the trip, because I do feel like there's something to be learned. And at the very least, you're going to learn some astrology and you're going to get a break from, you know, your daily routine. So come back. Let me know what conference are you going to? I'm very interested. All right, so let's see who we have next. We're gonna have Omar. So we have Omar, Danielle, Vanessa, Lori, and Sherry. I'll call your guys' names out and let you know ahead of time before your reading is coming up. So that way you guys know and you can kind of pay attention. Equally, you can come back and watch the video. So if you miss your reading, or if you want to return to it and listen to it again, you guys can catch this in the playback once the live is no longer live. You are very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, so let's see what Omar had to say. All right, so Omar says, hey Candace, I just want to get Spirit's opinion. Should I stay put in a current job or seriously start looking elsewhere? All right, so let's see what the cards say about Omar and the job situation. Is it time to stay put or to look for something else? All right, in this order. All right, well, to be honest with you, to me, you know, with the Magician coming up first, obviously this is a major arcana card. So it is talking about something already, and your consciousness is telling you that something's brewing, that potentially there could be some new beginning or some new other opportunity that's coming your way. It doesn't mean you have to act on it, but with the Magician card, as above, so below. So when you start thinking about something, where thought and intention goes, energy flows. So it is saying you're already kind of manifesting doors opening and new potential positions coming in. The Magician card is also talking about being mindful of what you're manifesting, what you're asking for. Really tap in and ask yourself, like, am I asking myself if I should be looking for something because I really want something else? Or, is it just because I'm having some sort of period where I'm doubting my current position? Three of Coins in the current position is talking about working hard and working as a team. So that does tell me that with where you're at right now, you are dedicated to seeing this through. Like, it's not that you want to quit your job and find something at the moment. There is a lot of potential here for working through your current situation at your job. This does require other people. So when I think of the Three of Coins, it takes more than one person, right? Other people outside of yourself for you to feel like this is a productive position, for you to feel abundant, for you to feel like you're happy making the money that you want and doing something that feels like it is actually like your passion. It can be a timing card too. So Three of Coins can talk about giving it about 3 months before you make a more solid decision when it comes to looking for a job. This can also be over a 3-month period. You may be entertaining the idea of seeing what else is out there. Intuitively, I feel like this is about giving your current position a real shot and seeing if there's a way to have better balance within either your working relationships or coworkers or your team, to see if it is possible to better the situation. But it's going to take people outside of you. It's not just going to be you. Others are going to have to kind of play fair as well. That Queen of Swords is coming up in the final position. So this can be talking about having a conversation, speaking up, talking to, management or somebody above you about your thoughts and your feelings and your ideas, and doing it in a very direct and diplomatic way. This can also be about taking charge and really nurturing something that you would have to write or something you'd have to put out there. I feel like you're already thinking about leaving, but before you go, you're going to give it like one last shot. And if you're feeling like it's not an environment that's conducive to working as a team, that Queen of Swords seems to indicate that you may either have the support of another person. It could be a woman or an air sign. So watch for Geminis, Libras, or Aquariuses. But this can be about you going and sprucing up a resume and being like, I'm going to go and put this out there. This is what I'm going to be updating to kind of see if anybody could potentially bite and if there's any interest. Either way, it seems positive. I just feel like the Magician card is really saying to me, there's already something in motion. Like, part of you is already 1 foot out the door. And because of that, more of the energy seems like it's going to be put into being like, okay, I'll give it a try, but eventually I'm going to go looking for a job. So work with that 3-month period. I do feel like sometimes the Queen of Swords can be like a manager. It can be a headhunter. This can also be somebody who approaches you and says, hey, we're interested in what you do. We want to talk to you. So consider that. So Sherry, let's see. So this is for Omar. But yeah, so for you, Omar, I think you're going to stay, but 1 foot out the door, and keep an eye out for somebody who may actually reach out to you. So if you throw your hat into the ring and let's say put your resume on an online forum, or if you apply for a job, likely you are going to get callbacks and people who are going to be reaching out to you. But don't like, not squander, but don't miss out on the opportunity to speak up and communicate with people at work, to try to make a change or a difference, to better the situation so you could stay, right? Anyway, I hope that's helpful for you, Omar. Let us know what you end up doing with your job situation. Sending you lots of good vibes with that. All right, so we've got Danielle. Let's see, we've got Danielle here, and she popped in for a 3-card reading. And she says, 3 cards for tarot. Does the person I miss want to come towards me? Danielle is a Taurus, born on May 1st, 81. Happy belated birthday to you, Danielle. So let's ask the cards. Does it look like the person that she misses want to come around? All right, so let's take a look. In this order, there's that darn magician again. So we've got the Moon card, the 7 of Coins, and the Magician. Really interesting stuff. 2 major arcana cards, the Moon and the Magician. So The moon does talk about your intuition. It does talk about your dreams. It talks about things you can't quite see physically in the waking like world. It can talk about things that are getting ready to be revealed to you. And I think that this is really about you having like a situation where you're kind of doubting, like, am I waiting around for nothing? Like, is this a mutual feeling? Am I crazy? Like, is the other person kind of feeling what I'm feeling too? That Seven of Coins can be about you assessing the situation and asking yourself whether or not you're wasting your time, or if you need to be spending more time on being patient and persistent and waiting to see if they're going to come around. This is a card that's about like planting seeds and waiting for the garden to bloom. So when I look at the Seven of Coins, it's like there's this side of you that's like, no, I'm not going to stray from this. There's something here. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to wait until this person comes back. But there is a side of you that's kind of like, okay, is this ever going to develop into anything? Am I just going to be standing here, you know, waiting and hoping that this person's going to return? The Magician card is coming up. So it is talking about some kind of connection that you have to this person. And it does talk about like manifestation. So I do feel like that card coming up isn't so much reflecting whether or not they're wanting to come back, but if there is enough intention behind what you're doing, the waiting for them, that perhaps has some kind of effect on the situation, and it does kind of bring two people back together. That Moon card and the Magician card also kind of talks about like feeling a strong psychic pull towards them, or feeling as if there is some kind of connection and that it's like undeniable and it's hard for you to kind of let it go or for you to break that. Confirmation card is the 10 of Wands. So it does seem like it is a challenge for the two of you guys to connect right now. I do feel like the Magician card is about you assessing the situation and being like, okay, I've done everything that I can do. There's no more intervening that I can do personally other than just kind of tell myself if it's meant to kind of happen, if we're meant to reconnect, the universe will reroute us and bring us back together. I don't think you're wasting your time, but I do feel like you're kind of hitting this wall like intuitively, where maybe you have always felt like your intuition is really bang on, or you really see things very clearly and you're feeling like you're in the dark, because the Moon card is about all the things that we don't see and what's kind of stirring in our subconscious. I also feel like the Seven of Coins can be talking about a situation where possibly this person is in the process of like working on themselves. Like they're not super focused on relationships or reconnecting or reaching out. There is a sense of them waiting it out, working on themselves, making sure that they're doing their necessary work, and the changes that may come from the Magician card. So it is saying you're not wasting your time, but like give that person the time and space to be able to work some of this stuff out. Realize also that, you know, with that 10 of Wands coming up as confirmation for the Magician, you have done everything you can do. Now you have the choice to wait, or you can make the decision to move forward. But I do feel like this person is kind of in a transitional period where they're healing something within themselves that has nothing to do with the connection to you, nothing to do with relationships. It's more about them becoming solid before they're able to actually reconnect, right? So there's no confirmation cards coming up saying, yes, they're missing you, they want to come back. That's not what it's saying. It's saying more that you're doubting whether or not there is like an opportunity to reconnect in the future. Don't make it be about that. Make it be about, okay, if I know we're supposed to reconnect, the universe has my back, they'll make it happen, it'll bring us together, and realizing and recognizing that they're kind of on their own path right now that they need to kind of work through before they're able to kind of reconnect with you. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. I know some of you guys popped in here. What's up, Miss Taliba? I've been missing out on Fridays, but I had to jump in with a question. Well, let me know what your question is. I'll put you on here. We just gave you a shout out. Thank you for being a level 3 member. It looks like, let's see, Sherry's here. Let's see, I asked a question. Okay, Epi, I'll get you. Sherry's got her question. Well, thank you, S. Hello, Queen of Light Bulbs. We use past, present, and future. Oh, you did ask your question. Okay, well, let me see. Did I see it? Maybe I didn't see it. Nope, I don't see it in the chat. So unless you sent it, let me know. All right, so let me update you guys with the list and let you know who I have, because I got a number of people. So we still have to chat with Vanessa, Lori, Sherry, Citrus Farm, Sasha. Oh, Miss Fogle, I got you. Yoga with Silk, Dorothy, David, Season Cole, and Kimberly. So if you heard your name, I've got you. Don't worry. All right, so let's move to Vanessa. Vanessa had 3 one-card questions. She said, hi, I have 3 separate questions. All right, I've got 3 answers for you. Number 1, my sister's court date is postponed. Her lawyer never had the other family served. She's also been experiencing car issues. She got pulled over in a flat tire all in 1 week's time. The 8 of Swords popped up. It seems every roadblock that is possible is happening with her. What month does it look like she's actually going to be seen in front of a judge? And what is it looking like because she's seeing no light at the end of the tunnel? So that 8 of Swords popped up, which is like, I'm stuck. How do I get out of this? Okay, so that 8 of Swords is literally about that self-imposed prison where we get into that mental rut of nothing's working, everything's blocked, it's not possible, I'm not gonna see my way through this. That in itself is hindering the process, okay? But let's see what the cards say. Can they give us some kind of insight in terms of like timing and what she needs to know about this? There is that 10 of Wands again. So 10s are about, obviously 10s, 10 weeks, 10th month. I don't think it's gonna be that long because Wands is usually about weeks. So you could be looking at closer to 10 weeks, so that's about 2.5 months. But this is also a card that's about completing a cycle. It's like, okay, there's been this uphill battle and she's feeling very challenged and that she's like almost like at the end of her rope and feeling spent. But this is a card that's about being able to conquer the situation and complete the situation against all odds. As a confirmation, we have the Ace of Pentacles. So this is saying like within that period of time, she is going to have some significant physical change, or she's going to have some sort of physical visitation, or there's going to be some kind of breakthrough that she's going to have that's making her feel more solid. Okay. Sending her lots of good vibes. Sounds like she needs like a reversal candle or a road opener or something. Maybe a Aubrey Camino bath. That might be helpful for her situation if she's having all kinds of weird stuff happening with cars and other things. All right, so then we've got number 2. My daughter likes a new boy. His initials are GH. His date of birth is 3/20/09. Is he a good influence because she's head over heels for him? I don't want them rushing into things too fast. Well, you're a good mom. So let's see what you need to know about this boy, GH. What do we need to know here? All right, so the card that we get is the 8 of Cups. Well, I mean, I'm not just saying this because they're young, but the 8 of Cups is a card that's about having your moment and then being like, okay, we're gonna move forward, we're gonna move on. So 8 of Cups is about assessing the situation emotionally, deciding whether or not it's a match, and then being like, okay, it's time to move on to greener pastures. I feel like maybe intuitively, because the 8 of Cups is about that intuition of knowing like when it's time to leave a situation or when it's time to make a shift of some kind. Like, you know when to leave. You know when to leave the relationship, the job, the party. So perhaps maybe there's this feeling where you're like, I don't know if this person's going to hang around for very long. So I'm feeling kind of like fierce mama bear, protective of her and like letting her know, like, don't get too attached too fast. Not a bad influence, but something that to me seems a little bit fleeting. So it might be important to kind of keep an eye on her. Make sure that she's not rushing into anything and not getting her heart broken, especially if he sees something else that kind of catches his eye. Because I feel like the 8 of Cups is about kind of moving away from something and not looking back, you know? Okay. So then we've got question number 3. She says, my daughter has been extremely unmotivated and not herself lately. She doesn't like her private school. Should I keep her there or send her to public school? I just want her to be safe and successful. Can you suggest what is best, please? If I remember correctly, Saturn is in her 3rd house. That's what I believe. She's Capricorn rising, I think. So, okay, let's take a look. Let's see. So what's the deal with the school situation? You know, should she stay in private school? Should she go to public school? What is going to be the best solution for her? Well, I wonder, do you have her in a private school? Is it like a religious school? Only wondering because we have the Hierophant kind of coming up. Cap, Sun, Aquarius, Moon. Okay, so she's got but she's, do you remember her rising sign? Because for some reason I thought Saturn was going into her 3rd house. As a Capricorn sun, you know, Saturn is going into the 3rd house. So that can be issues dealing with education. Okay, yes, religious. So this is one of those situations where the tarot is quite literal. No, she's being kept in private school. The Hierophant is about some kind of closed system. It's about something that's got structure. It's about something that could be religious. It's got more form. I understand that she's not totally thrilled about it, but it does seem like she's going to do a lot better in this environment where there is going to be this sense of influence that's more than maybe what she would get from public school, if that makes sense. So this is about kind of doing something that's going to be a little bit more strict, a little bit more kind of closed off, but ultimately it's going to be good for creating, I think, a stronger foundation and better routine for her, according to the cards. Hopefully that's helpful. My gut was right. Let's take a look here. Just make sure I'm catching up. How'd you get my family photos? I love those alligators. You guys watching the B-roll? What's up, Diego? He says, hey, Candace, I hope you're doing well. I'd like to receive my monthly reading. You got it. Cap, Sun, Cancer, Rising, Taurus, Moon. Let me add you to my list. And Diego says, I've been unhappy at my job for a while, but I'm too scared to quit because of the salary. Could I find something great if I quit, or is it just going to get better at my current workplace? Well, let's take a look. Cancer risings, man. Solar eclipse with Chiron retrograde in the 10th house. Work's been a little rough. I would say, let's see, because we don't want to make decisions while there is still a shadow going on. But is it possible that Diego finds something new if he quits his job, or should he stay put? In this order. All right, so here's the deal. Just between the eyes, it does say that it is worth at least investing a little bit more time into this current job, at least until you get to Leo season. So the sun's gonna move into Leo at the end of July, beginning of August. Give it a couple of months. It looks like it might actually get better. So 7 of Coins, another card coming up again, is talking about persistence, you know, staying the course, working hard. I know you might be doubting the situation, wondering like, am I going to find something better than this? Is there anything else out there for me? Am I wasting my time? This is in the past position. So it's saying you've been kind of feeling this way, but it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to stay this way. I should note, we also have a nice progression from the 7 of Coins to the 8 of Coins, where hard work and dedication, patience actually pays off. And like there can be a sense of you getting a promotion, you know, getting a lot more recognition, getting really great experience. So these cards seem to suggest for the time being, it's time to stay put. The Strength card is not only giving us the timing about the Leo season, but it's also saying like being open, right? Like the Strength card is about not forcing a situation, not making it work for you. Honestly, if you're not happy at your job, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're staying in that state of mind and if you're feeling like it's just not flowing, then it's about acknowledging and recognizing, okay, this is not my place. But I don't think you're going to be there for a couple of months still. The Strength card is also about being open to whatever comes your way and trying to embrace the positive side of what's going on with your career. Maybe it's about looking at it going like, you know what? I'm super thankful to be employed. I've got excellent benefits. I've got a great salary, and looking at your perspective when it comes to your job a little bit differently. And this is also about allowing change to come in. This can talk about like, you know, being at work and being more compassionate with coworkers, or feeling like people are embracing you more or appreciating you more or giving you a little bit more recognition for the job that you're doing. And then finally, the 8 of Coins, which talks about hard work, dedication, paying off, making money, really getting into the groove. This is also great for experience. So this can also be a card that comes up that's basically saying like, the job that you're doing or the position that you're in, it's really, really great experience. It's not something that you want to walk away from. Obviously, nobody stays at any one job forever. You know, jobs are meant to be something we stay at until we hit that point and we're like, okay, we're graduating. But this really makes me feel like with, you know, where you're at, like not only are you needed, but you're going to become better at what you're doing, and the skills and the experience that you're getting here is very valuable. And this is another 8. So both of these cards talk about change, transformation, things kind of filtering out. Very soon, you're going to see Mars meeting with the North Node in your 10th house. So I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to go and find another job, go out there and find one. Go and apply for jobs. But I don't see you quitting your job and then finding a job. I see you working the job that you're at, things actually getting better, and then having a little bit of appreciation for putting more work into it and like really kind of staying the course. And if you still, you know, are open to making some changes, you can do that in just a couple months' time. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so let's take a look at who else we have. If you guys are just joining us, the queue is still open. Scan the QR code. It'll take you to my PayPal. We're doing 1 and 3 card tarot spreads. Don't forget to put your question in the memo box for me. I appreciate it. All right, so let's see, who do we have here next? Working down my list. All right, so we took care of Vanessa. We've got Lori, Sherry, and the Citrus Farm. You guys are all on deck. What's up, Lori? All right, so Lori says, what message does the universe want me to hear? Sagittarius Sun, Leo Moon, Leo Rising. Let's take a look. All right, so what does Lori need to hear right now? In this order. Ooh. I'm wondering what the deal is. Like, are you going back and forth and struggling right now with like whether or not you're going to either make some kind of investment into something, or are you going back and forth in terms of like whether or not you should be more generous with someone? We've got the 9 of Cups, the 6 of Coins, and the 7 of Swords. Just to give a little bit more context, the Judgment card does confirm. That is the card confirming the 7 of Swords. Looks like there's a big decision that's about to be made. 9 of Cups is a great card. This is about what you're wishing for, what you're wanting. This is about manifesting something. The 9 of Cups is about fulfillment and feeling complete. So maybe it can be like, okay, everything feels kind of cool right now in the world. Like, what do I need to know? Is there anything that I'm missing? Is there any blind spots that I have? And then you have the 6 of Coins coming up. And so this is an energy that's about give or take. This can be a card that's about, you know, am I being too generous with another person? Am I receiving enough of what I need? Is there something that's in balance? This can be with relationships. This can be with partnerships. This can be with, you know, one-on-one relationships with people at work. This does make me feel inclined to let you know that it seems to me like you're going through a period where things are going very well for you, and you may be putting yourself in a position where, because things are going so well for you, there can be people who will take advantage of your generosity. They will take advantage of your kindness. There can be a sense of you giving to other people, and it not being either reciprocated or appreciated. And so when the reason why I say that is because the 6 of Coins is coming up with the 7 of Swords. I would also say, like, be careful with investments and what you're doing with money right now, because you can have that 6 of Coins coming up where you're like, yeah, I could expend a little bit of money and invest it into this, or somebody says I should buy that, or somebody's, you know, wanting to kind of sell me on something. Like, there can be this energy of feeling so confident with things right now, especially financially, that you're like, okay, I have a little bit of money to burn, and somebody could take advantage of that. 7 of Swords. This can also be whether or not you're trusting yourself. You know, you can be saying to yourself, like, you know, am I as secure as I think I am? And there can be some sense of doubting a financial situation, doubting something that you're doing with money as well. The Judgment card is confirming. It's saying, like, when it comes to making decisions about money or investments right now, make solid decisions, make sound decisions, do your research before you make an investment. Don't just freely kind of give things out to other people, especially because, like I said, it seems like you're in a really good place. And so, you know, because you are in that good place, people can take advantage of that. Somebody could kind of see what you have and they could want some of that, and they can kind of either rob you of your energy or rob you of your happiness. So be cautious with who you're surrounding yourself with, because people may seem like they're good, but there can be people who are like envious, or people who are, you know, trying to kind of take away from your happiness. So be cautious about your circle. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful. Still a positive reading. It's just saying be selective with who you share your life with, you know, especially if things are going well. There can be some envy going on there that things are going so well for you. Maybe a good time to get an evil eye. Hope that's helpful for you guys. All right, so who else do we have here? So after Lori, it looks like we have got Sherry, the Citrus Farm, and then Sasha. You're welcome. Diego says, thanks, Candace. Reading definitely helped. I've been so negative, grumpy, snappy lately with people with a job. I'll be patient and it'll get better. All right, good luck. All right, so let's see what Sherry has to say. I think this is Sherry's first time, so welcome, Sherry. And let's see, I think did you send your question here? Okay, so Sherry says, I'm a healthcare worker for 30 years, trouble in my career, and just under a cybersecurity attack. I'm a Sun in Cancer, Leo rising. All right, so those Leo rising transits are pretty wild because you've got all the Jupiter, Uranus stuff in the 10th house. It's about some kind of new updates and things going on at work being a little chaotic. There's upgrades and things going on at work. And then for Cancers, the retrograde and the eclipse affected your career zone, right? Aries, which was actually happening in your 9th house. So I feel like this is going to be more about you having to like upgrade in some way, or you're gonna have to be like learning probably like new systems and new softwares and other ways of being able to kind of like validate who you are working at work. And it can be a bit of a pain in the butt because you're like, how does this work? Anyway, let's see what the cards say about what's going on with this stuff and if it can give you some insight. David just joined level 3. Welcome to level 3. We've got King of Swords, Queen of Cups, and the Six of Swords. Well, I got to ask you, I'm hoping, Sherry, that you're not getting cold feet because that Six of Swords makes me wonder, like, are you questioning whether or not it's time to like switch jobs, switch locations, change careers? Like, don't freak out. King of Swords coming up, I think, is really talking about clear communication, instruction, and things coming from people at the top, having to go through a lot more either paperwork or like a lot more process to be able to better understand security practices at work. And it also can be really difficult for communication because people can be getting frustrated and there can be delays with actually being able to do your job. Watch for some interesting conversations, meetings, stuff that's kind of going on. There's going to be new instructions that are coming out. And then you've got the Queen of Cups, which is talking about you emotionally. It's just about being cool, calm, complacent, receptive, trying to be understanding to the fact that, yeah, the whole system is basically going to be up for like a overhaul of sorts. And that Six of Swords is saying like this too shall pass, right? You're going to move on to calmer waters. Things are going to kind of calm down a little bit. It may take a couple of weeks for you guys to adjust to this, but it's not going to be something that's going to be stressful for long. And I really don't see this as a situation where you're leaving. I got to tell you though, as a Leo rising, you know, when Mars gets into Taurus in a couple of weeks, and then it starts coming into conjunction with Uranus, let's wait maybe until closer to July. If you're really struggling with some of the changes that's going on at work, that would be more a transit where you're like, okay, this is too much for me, but not right now. This will actually pass, and I feel like it's actually going to be good because it's making people communicate better. When so many things would be kind of going through like digitally, now you're going to find that there's going to be a lot more person-to-person communication and contact as they're going through the upgrade process. Delays, yes. Annoying, yes. But I feel like you've got the capability of being able to kind of manage it, and it's not time to jump ship just quite yet. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. Good luck with some of that stuff. I think that that's definitely expected given some of the astrology right now, unfortunately. All right, so we will leave the queue open for a few more minutes if anybody wants to jump in. We've got Citrus Farm here. Citrus gal. First time listening. I'm a Cap, Sun, Sag, Moon, and Rising. Well, thank you. Sag, Moon, and Rising. Okay. Hello, Candace. I love your channel so much. Well, thank you. My question is, I'm thinking about moving and also going back to school next year for a career change. What do I need to keep in mind as I make my decision? Thank you. All right. Well, good question. I think about the Sagittarius rising in particular. I know you're a Capricorn. You know, Capricorns have a lot of stuff where they're trying to focus more on things that they actually enjoy as you're having all these Jupiter Uranus things kind of going through Taurus. But for a Sagittarius, there is a sense of feeling Sagittarius rising, feeling restless with your daily routine, right? Because there's so many planets going through your 6th house where it's like, how can I be of better service? Where can I find a job that's going to be more productive? How can I find something that's bringing me more pleasure and even more money? I will tell you that you are going to be seeing that there's going to be a number of transits that are going to be moving through your 7th house pretty soon, which is great for connecting and communicating with other people who you could work with. Leo actually rules education for you as a Sag rising. You will see a Mercury retrograde there. So probably sometime in early August, you'll be reassessing, where do I want to go to school? What do I want to be learning? You'll also see a Mars retrograde there. That will be happening at the end of this year, which will also have you consider going back to school possibly. All right, so let's get into the reading. Let's see what the cards say for you about this process. And it was in this order, okay? So it looks like decisions have been made. You're definitely going in that direction. Knight of Swords is saying you are off looking for kind of like the next thing that you're going to be doing. Really excited to learn, really excited to do something different, and that you are wanting to make a change. There is definitely a shift that you want to make here when it comes to learning. Knight of Swords can be about writing, it can be about communications, it could be travel related. I think of like Virgo being your 10th house and Taurus being your 6th house. So definitely there can be a sense of, you know, wanting to learn more about these two particular signs and the topics that they cover. It can be about service. It can be about health. It can be about wellness. It could be about editing. There's so many things that you can do with that. But I think the Knight of Swords right now is saying you're out looking and trying to figure out what you want to do. 8 of Coins does talk about perfecting your craft. And so I like that that's coming up with the Page of Wands, because the page is the student, right? So when the 8 of Coins comes up, it's basically saying you're wanting to do something that you feel like can be almost like a craftsmanship type of thing. Like you have to become really good at what you're doing. There has to be a very specific skill that you do. Could it be creating things, designing things? Could it be working with finances, working with money? Possibly. But the 8 of Coins talks about working hard until you reach your goal. And then the 9 of Coins would be the next card, which is about kind of having success. So you're dedicated to doing something that you enjoy, but also something that is going to be more so lucrative. Page of Wands. This is a card that's about learning. Pages are children. They can also be seen as students. This can be about really deciding to go to school for something that feels exciting, brand new, creative, and also a little bit more independent. This is about approaching what you're doing with, you know, like your schooling from a set of like new eyes and being optimistic and wanting to do something that is going to be very different than what you have done before. Interesting that I brought up, I was like, yeah, you're going to see some stuff in August, and then you're going to see some stuff at the end of this year. That 8 is very much connected to Leo, which is kind of August time. So I feel like that's when you're going to be really deciding and maybe picking and choosing what you'll potentially be going to school for. And if you want to be making a career change, next year is definitely a good time to do that, especially when you start having eclipses in Virgo. You know, the eclipses will be taking place next year in that sign. You'll see that in the spring and also in the fall. We're going to have a South Node eclipse, which is going to help you move from one part of work to another. So timing wise, you'll probably see that happen right around those eclipses next year. She says, I was definitely second guessing my decision because of those 9th house retrogrades coming up, but retrogrades can help you say, you know what, I want to go back. Go back and look at what happened the last time we had this retrograde. I believe it was like sometime in 2009, I want to say. So you might, you know, have seen that you kind of went back and forth with something you were studying, or maybe you decided to go to school or you stopped. Do not fear retrogrades, right? Retrogrades bring us back to something, or we review something that we need to review. The only catch here is that the retrograde is going to be in your 9th house and it's going to oppose Pluto in your 3rd. So it's more going to be about, do I want to go to a campus or do I want to learn online? And so I think it's going to be about those things that you're kind of weighing your options. Do I do a shorter course? Do I do a college course? Do I do a certification, or do I do a full-blown diploma? That's more what you're going to be working with. Focus more on what it is that you want to study, and also make sure that it's something that you're going to really enjoy doing, because it's going to be an investment that you're going to be making with that 8 of Coins. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so let's see, who else do we have here? We have got Sasha, and then we've got let's see, Miss Fogle. So we've got Sasha, Fogle, and then we've got Silk. Okay. So Sasha says, I am a Pisces sun and rising. I'm currently crushing on my Spanish tutor located in Colombia, and I'm wondering if we'll collab or merge together on anything soon to bring us closer. He's a Scorpio. Of course, your 9th house, and he's your tutor. How funny. All right, so let's take a look. I mean, you know, Scorpios, they've got those Jupiter-Uranus things going on in their 7th. There could definitely be some attraction with somebody who lives further away. So is there a collaboration nearby? Well, you got to find a reason to come closer together first. This is interesting. You don't have to be physically around each other to collaborate, but the 6 of Swords is coming up. So it is talking about finding a way to be like, oh, I'm going to be in this area. You want to connect? You know, or I'm considering, you know, planning a trip. You want to do something? It seems to be more about either finding ways to bring about some kind of conversation that's going to be outside of the tutoring, or finding ways to connect the dots in terms of like your guys' distance. 6 of Swords is a card that's about moving on from one place to the next. Now, it can mean that you're talking to them about a project or something that you're wanting to do and saying, hey, I'm testing the waters. Is this something you would want to be interested in? You know, would you want to connect in this way? But it does talk about that distance being like a little bit of a stretch, right? Don't let that scare you. I feel like this is a card that's basically saying if you're open to talking about things that can be outside of your guys' typical discussions or your guys' like tutoring sessions, you may open the door to being able to ask him questions or talking to him more about traveling or places that you would potentially consider going to and getting insight and information from him about that. Generally, this is a card that does talk about like either relocating, traveling, you know, moving. So I do feel like you're going to be asking questions about that. Like, oh, how long have you lived there? Okay, what do you like about it? You know, what place would you recommend visiting? And like talking about traveling, because that may open up a door and make it possible for you to learn more about him and find ways to be able to kind of connect that could potentially bring you guys closer together. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so let's see, who else do we have here? We will leave your guys' queue open for another few minutes. So if you want to get in, go ahead and get in before we close it. And we have got now Miss Fogle. What's up, my dear? She says, any insight on a time frame for closing my mom's estate? I'm trying not to go crazy and not to go broke. She's a Libra rising, Virgo sun, Cancer moon. Well, let me tell you something, Miss Libra rising. You're going to have 2 full moons this summer, okay? I'm going to start talking about this a lot more in this next month because we're getting up to that time now. The end of June is going to boast a full moon in Capricorn, and it's going to be at 1 degree. And then you're going to have, at the end of July, a second full moon, a blue moon, 29 degrees of Capricorn. So it's very obvious that the universe wants us to get our shift together in the Capricorn area of our chart. When that second full moon comes through in July, it will be conjunct Pluto. Pluto rules your money if you're a Libra rising. It's in the 4th house, which deals with home and family and some kind of completion. So best believe, regardless of what these cards say, sometime June or July is most likely astrologically when you're going to see that happen. The Jupiter-Uranus transits in your 8th house is why there's so much money being spent on that, getting kind of tied up, dealing with like lawyers and other things. So that's why you're feeling all of that. But there is definitely some kind of ending that is coming in this order. All right, so we have got 10 of Swords, 5 of Cups, and the Hermit card. So aside from the fact that it's like a lot, it's also not giving you closure. Like the fact that you're still dealing with the estate, the fact that it's still taking longer to close, it's not helping the emotional process of being able to grieve and kind of recover and move forward after the loss of your mom. So that in itself, there's a whole emotional factor here. I say that because 10 of Swords makes yet another appearance, letting you know that this has been a really long, painful process, and you just want it to kind of be complete. It does mean that there is a completion coming. Then we've got the Five of Cups, which talks about disappointments, delays, setbacks, emotionally kind of feeling like totally overwhelmed and being disappointed with how the situation has played out. So this could also potentially be that you're like, I'm disappointed with what's happened with my relationships to some people. You know, you've got the Three of Cups spilled, so it can talk about while you're going through the process of trying to wrap this up, you know, you're disappointed with how family acts or how, you know, people who are handling the estate is acting, and the fact that people are not being very compassionate or understanding, and it's put you in a bit of a funk. Then we have the Two of Cups behind you, which is saying like, you know, there is going to be support moving forward. You just don't see it yet. Then we've got the Hermit card coming up. So it is talking about shining a light on a situation, probably the struggle of feeling like you're having to do this by yourself, and that it's challenging because you're like, okay, this is a lot for me to deal with. But also there is this awareness that comes with the Hermit card, because he's kind of holding up that lantern and it's highlighting or showing him something he didn't know before. I think about Virgos and, you know, the solar eclipse in Aries, which is connected to estates and, you know, death and wills and insurance. I think about Chiron being there, and then the retrograde. It's been a real trying time for a lot of Virgos when it comes to actually getting through some kind of significant change and dealing with death and grief. I think the Hermit card is saying that it's really highlighting and kind of showing you that, number one, by the time we get to like Virgo season, so that makes sense with the full moons that we're going to have in June and July, this will be complete, but also that it's really showing you like how strong and how capable you are of being able to handle everything and all of the details. And although it's been disappointing how it's gone down, like, you will be able to move through this. Take care of your health, because this can be really stressing you out a lot mentally and emotionally, and it can be taking a toll on you. So I want you to really pay attention to that, okay? Especially because you have Saturn, you know, hanging out in your 6th house. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful. Thank you, Miss Fogle. Michelle, you can scan the QR code right up there to get in. She says, indeed messy for sure. What's up, Danielle? Let me know if you want to cash in on your reading. Was my reading done? Oh yeah, we already got your reading. We got you. You were the second one, so you'll be able to watch the playback, but you were the second reading that we did for you. It is there. All right, so we have got now Yoga with Silk, and then Dorothy, David, and Season Cole. You guys are all on deck. Don't worry, we got you. Thank you, my dear. All right, so Silk says, any new blessings to come? I would like insight on the near future. Thank you. Well, let's take a look. All right, let's see what we've got here. So what blessings does Silk have to look forward to? Ooh, Hangman. There's that darn Ten of Swords again. Well, I see this as a situation where, you know, first of all, when the Hangman comes up, it's about watching and waiting. It's not about moving. It's about observing. Sometimes when this card comes up, a client is kind of feeling like they're in limbo, not necessarily stuck, but they're like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? What's going on? And this is a card that's about kind of quieting the mind, turning within and asking yourself, what do you need to be focusing on right now? What is most important to you? What is your gut telling you? But also sometimes making no moves is a move that needs to be made. So it can be about being still. It can be about reflecting. This is also a moment of inner knowledge, peace, awareness, and also like epiphanies. Like this is a card that is about epiphanies for me. So are you taking time to meditate? Are you taking time to be alone? Are you taking time to turn inward? Are you reflecting on things that have come to a completion recently? Are you making peace with them? Are you letting them go? Are you completing those cycles? There's a lot of that happening right now because we are getting ready to see Mars hit the North Node. We're getting ready to see a bunch of planets come into conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus. So there is major completions taking place. But this seems peaceful. It doesn't seem dramatic. It seems more about an inner shift that's going on with you internally, where maybe you're reevaluating things and you're looking at endings or letting things go differently, and you're handling it in a much more kind of peaceful manner, and that there is a sense of maybe really appreciating kind of decluttering or clearing things out of your life right now. And it might seem a little bit quiet, but it's intentionally so you can start some new phases. Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. Who else do we got here? So just to let you guys know who else we have, I'll give you guys the rundown. So Dorothy, David, Season Cole, Kimberly, Sage Moon, Sushimita, Elizabeth, and Kayla. I have not done your readings yet. I will call your name when your reading is coming up. Thanks for your patience. We've got Dorothy. What's up, Dorothy? You're welcome. Dorothy says, I've been considering a move or changing jobs. I'm wondering what Spirit says about this change. She's a Gemini rising, Aries sun, and she's got a Pisces moon. So you got your sun hanging out in your 11th house. Saturn is hanging out with your moon in the 10th house. So decisions need to be made. Decisions need to be made. So let's see what is going on with making a job change. So we have got Hierophant, Judgment, and the Knight of Cups. All right, so first of all, the Hierophant really kind of talks about like what you've always done. This is like long-standing tradition, what you've always had a tendency to do. This is like what you're committed to, what you're dedicated to. This can also be talking about the Taurus area of your chart. Well, if you're a Gemini rising, Taurus is hanging out, you know, in your 12th house. So this is about some things coming to a completion right now, or intuitively knowing like, some things are about ready to be kind of finished up. Now, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, which is your 10th house. So as all these planets are coming into conjunction with Jupiter over this next like week or two, pay attention, because you might have this intuitive feeling that's like, something is getting ready to get filtered out, whether this is you finally consciously making the decision, going like, okay, I think I'm done and I'm ready to move forward, or you have a dream, you have some kind of intuitive hit that you're like, okay, it's time for me to like start looking or plan my exit strategy. The Hierophant can also be talking about like, you know, your commitment to your career. Obviously, you've got eclipses that are going to start in the fall, and that's going to be in Pisces with the North Node. You're also going to be having Saturn continue to move through Pisces for the better part of like the next year and a half. And you're going to have some retrogrades there in the spring. So I kind of feel like right now, decisions are being made about you saying, okay, you know, I'm making the decision to eventually leave. It's just a matter of when. The Judgment card is about definitive decisions. So I'm wondering, is this about you coming to a point where you're like, do I want to change jobs, or am I planning my retirement? Do I want to do this forever, or do I want to do something else? When Judgment comes up, it's like when all the chickens come home to roost, right? So if there has been problems for some time in your line of work, or where you're working, or with bosses, or with other coworkers, you might finally just call a spade and be like, this is not the place for me to be, especially if you feel like there is a lack of order or structure of some kind. Okay, so just food for thought. Knight of Cups can talk about offers that are coming your way. So this can be once you kind of put that out there and say, okay, I'm looking, or I'm interested to see what else is out there. The Knight of Cups can be people who are like, we'd love to talk to you. You know, you have great experience. You know, are you willing to sit down with us? Are you interested in taking a position? It's about putting it out into the ethers and like letting people know, hey, you know, I'm looking, and you'll have people who are going to be receptive to talking to you or potentially working with you. This is also about not just making decisions with your head. This is also making decisions with your heart, because the Knight of Cups does talk about moving forward in a way where you're like, okay, the plan is to make a decision that's going to sit better with me emotionally. There you go. She says, I've been getting 2 or 3 recruiters emailing me a week. It's been crazy. I've just been hesitant. I feel like with the Knight of Cups, this is not anything you need to worry about. These are people who have a genuine interest in you because of your experience and what you've done in the past. Keep in mind, like with Saturn and also the North Node moving through your 10th house, it's trying to get you into a position that's going to be a higher status. And if your moon's in the 10th house, Saturn hitting your moon, because the moon rules your 2nd house of money, is likely going to be a position that's going to also be about a different salary. It can be more, but it can come with a lot more responsibility. Or you may be considering, okay, I'm willing to make less money if I have less responsibility. It could go one of 2 ways, but there's going to definitely be a difference in terms of your finances. No harm in talking to them though. I just don't really know if you're actually going to make a decision to kind of leave your job. and actually physically do it until closer to the fall. But I do think you're going to entertain the idea of talking to people, as long as you're feeling like you're moving forward, working with somebody who is professional, or an organization or a business that is professional, that you feel like is respectable in the field. But it does look like that decision is going to be made. You may not make it until closer to the fall though. Hopefully that's helpful for you and giving you some insights there. Okay, so let's see. Who else do we have here? All right, so we have David. You're welcome. Okay. So David wants to donate a reading to somebody who is in need of a reading, who has not already gotten one. So those of you guys who would like a reading and you feel like you need one and you need some insight, the person who needs one, we will give it to, or the person who is able to say Happy Mother's Day first, because, well, Mother's Day is coming up. So we'll give that one out in just a second. So let's do Season Cole while we are picking our reading. We've got Queen of Light Bulbs. All right, so 29-degree Cancer Sun, Aries Moon, Leo Rising, 3 cards. Is leaning into comedy and stand-up the next best path in life? Okay, and pursuit for me. Any insight on how that will play out for me and how to best approach it is appreciated. All right, so you are a Leo rising. You've got Uranus that's going through your 10th house with Jupiter. So obviously considering comedy is very doable in terms of a career change. The only challenge is, well, Pluto's opposing your sun. So it's going through your 6th house. It's about making some real serious, significant changes to the kind of work that you're doing. Sorry, my Siri's talking to me. There you go. It's about making some significant changes to the type of work that you're doing. There you go. And overcoming some kind of fear with changing your daily routine. I don't know if that makes sense, but you really want to pay attention to those full moons that are going to be happening later over the summer, because that's going to give you more insight. And like definitely making moves now while these planets go through your 10th house is a good time to consider doing it. What's up, Enchanted? I just saw you. I will add you to my list. Just let me know your question. All right, so let's see if stand-up is the best path for Queen of Light Bulbs. I've got the Hermit card, the Two of Swords, and the Temperance card. You know, the two major arcana coming up here, the Hermit card, which is like peering into this, being like, okay, does this work for me? Do I like this? Do I have the capability of doing it? Do I have the confidence? Do I feel comfortable putting myself out there? This is a card that's about soul searching. So I'm wondering, like, have you been getting into going and doing some stand-up work? Have you been going and taking some classes? Have you been working with other people? Because the challenge of this card is getting outside of your comfort zone, right? It's getting outside of your comfort zone and doing more than just being like, yes, this is a good idea. It's about actually going and doing it. I say that because the card that follows up with this is the Two of Swords. So it does kind of talk about being indecisive, going back and forth, feeling kind of like, okay, I want to do it, but I don't know how to get out there. Maybe it can be about actually speaking in front of people, because the swords can be about communication. This can also be about writing, and like whether or not you feel confident and secure being able to actually share some of your work with other people. The Temperance card is really about kind of dipping your toe in the water and like trying it out and feeling it out. There's nothing here that's screaming like, yes, this is what you're going to do. This is your end all be all like career move, because a lot of these cards are changeable. This is a card of Virgo, which is about changing jobs and also your position. Two of Swords, changing your mind. Temperance, weighing things out. So it's telling me that nothing has been decided yet. Nothing has been defined in a sense of what the tarot is predicting. Really, it's about highlighting, okay, is this a passion of mine? Am I good at it? Do I feel confident? Am I okay being in the spotlight? Do I want to be seen? You don't need me to tell you this. You have your sun in the 12th house at a critical degree. That's not me saying you can't be funny, but definitely there is going to be some issues with shyness, visibility, putting yourself out there, being seen. The sun also, rules your chart. So there is this sense of kind of hiding and keeping part of yourself a little bit private. You're going to want to go and look at where your natal Venus is. I think what's working in your favor right now is the fact that you have an early degree Aries moon. So the North Node is coming into conjunction with your moon, which means it's activating something about your public reputation. It's activating something about your face being seen. It is also connected to your 9th house, which means teachers, trainers, mentors, people like that are supposed to be coming in that are supposed to be kind of helping you. So I think that it may be a good idea, if this is something that you're really serious about, taking it beyond just an interest in being like, I want to go and work with an acting coach or a comedic coach, or I want to go and sit and work with other comedians, and I want to maybe look into like traveling a little bit because it's in the 9th house. I do think that even if Venus isn't on your ascendant, that is good for visibility. But the problem that's going on right now is that Uranus is squaring your chart, your 10th house ruler. So it's basically saying you have to put yourself out there and you have to work with other people. Uranus rules your 7th house. So meeting other people, making friends with other comedians, going and probably working with a coach. All of these things are kind of coming through your astrology, and these cards do not seem very confident to me. And that's not me saying you can't do it, but these cards are kind of like, I want to try, but I'm not really too sure. No, there's no guarantees. You either do it or you don't do it. And if you're really passionate about it, then it's about really taking your time, because the Temperance card is about letting things kind of cook, and developing and like figuring out like what your angle is in terms of your comedic, direction, what kind of stuff you're going to talk about, what kind of a character you're kind of creating, and really feeling more comfortable being in that environment and allowing this to take time. Recently, you just had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 10th house. So what this basically means is that even though you're not seeing this significant change right now, the change is going to be developing over the next 12 years. Well, Jupiter rules your 5th house, which is about being on stage and being funny and being kind of comedic. So you have a lot of the signatures of somebody who would be like, okay, I'm going to go big or go home, but you're going to have to let it develop over time. My advice is, with so many planets that are going to be moving through your 9th house, find a way to be able to connect with other people, to be able to learn, and that's going to help you become more comfortable being in that field. Very, very doable though, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna do the reading for Fatima, and then we're also going to take Enchanted. So I'm just letting you guys know before I come back to my, you're welcome, before I come back to my list. All right, so what's up, Fatima? Virgo, Moon, and Rising, Pisces, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Aquarius, Jupiter, Rahu's, and Sagittarius, Mars, and Taurus. Okay, so I want to know what's coming in love with an ex, if there's a commitment. Is there a commitment? Wow, so you got Saturn going into your 7th house with your Sun and your Mercury, and you're like, is it gonna stick? Saturn rules your 5th house, so it's like, is it love or is it not? And you're in the midst of Saturn square Saturn. So you're like, okay, it's now or never, especially if we're going to finally let go of the past and past habits and patterns. And also where you're living kind of comes into the mix with Saturn in the 7th square Saturn in the 4th, because you're like, if we're doing this, we're doing it, and somebody might have to move. All right, so let's take a look. Is there commitment with this ex? You've got a lot working in your favor, right? You've got the North Node heading into Pisces soon. A lot of Virgos may finally settle into something. What do the cards say? Don't get bamboozled, my dear. That's my advice. 2 of Cups is great, right? So it's like, is there a commitment? Is there a relationship? Is it possible? Can this person come back? Yes, you guys can get back together. Sure. 2 of Cups. But the next 2 cards, I'm not as optimistic about, because the 2 of Cups seems like it's great reconnecting. But my question is what has changed, right? And I know people can evolve, they can change, they can grow up, you can kind of get back together, it's very possible. But the 5 of Coins coming in the current position is like being left out in the cold, not getting what you need, not being given enough, feeling discouraged, feeling as if you were kind of like left holding the bag and like not getting the support that you need. So I'm wondering, is this person putting forth the work and is actually pushing the momentum of this along? Or are you like, okay, what are we doing here? Are you wasting my time? Because that 5 of coins is about wanting more, right? There is a coldness kind of connected to this. There is a sense of not feeling like you're getting what you need from that other person, or that they're kind of keeping you at a safe distance. The 9 of Wands, which is talking about feeling kind of beat up and, you know, struggling and feeling like you're barely holding on. This is a guy who's standing kind of assessing the damage or assessing everything that has gone on and kind of being like, I've been put through the ringer. I don't know if I want to go back there again. I don't know if I want to continue with this. Like, this has been really challenging. And the confirmation card is the King of Cups. So, you know, the King of Cups is sweet because it does talk about there being a connection there being love there, but actions and words, right? Like, are they actually matching up? Because they can say all of the right things and tell you everything, but we need to see the action. And the 5 of Coins and the 9 of Wands is saying, don't do anything where you're going to be the person putting forth all of the, you know, like movement. Like, don't be the person carrying the relationship. You need to see that if they really want that, you got to make them work for it. And there cannot be this repetitive pattern of feeling like you're putting in all of the work and you're not receiving anything. You're not getting anything in exchange. And be vocal about it, because the 9 of Wands is a card that's like, dude, I'm spent. Like, I'm not going to go round and round and round in this same cycle with you. Yes, there's feelings there, but relationships take work. And it's my opinion in this situation that history can repeat itself if you're not careful. Don't make it too easy. See if he's actually willing to do the work to be able to kind of make the relationship grow, and don't repeat the past. Okay? Be very careful with that. Good luck. We've got Enchanted, who says, is there an opportunity for me around the corner? I'm in a situationship position going through a phoenix moment. You're welcome, Fatima. Thanks, David, for that donation. All right, so Enchanted is in a situationship and wants to know, is there an opportunity around the corner going through a phoenix moment? Let's take a look. All right, so in this order, man, those same cards, man. There's been a lot of swords tonight. 6 of Swords, Temperance card, 8 of Swords. You know, I kind of feel like, it's funny, I kind of feel like there is this kind of like oscillating, kind of going back and forth. First of all, you've got 6 of Swords on one side that's like, okay, I'm moving on. Like, I'm not staying in this situation. I'm not going to be complacent, or I'm not going to stay in a relationship where I'm not getting any kind of validation, or there's no kind of commitment. And then on the other hand, there's this 8 of Swords that's like, no, I'm stuck here. I'm staying here. This is, you know, this is where I'm at. I can't see myself doing anything other than this. Like, anything else would be too overwhelming. And then in the center is the Temperance position, which is interesting. It's saying like balance, right? Are opportunities coming? Yeah, but the Temperance card talks about kind of healing a situation before moving forward. So, okay, your Phoenix moment, right? Rebirth. I think Pluto is like squaring your moon right now, and it's making all kinds of different aspects in your chart. I think about like the South Node going through Libra in your 7th, and it can be a time where if relationships are around, great, but it's meant to be the icing on the cake. Like, there's less expectation in relationships with the South Node there right now. And the 6 of Swords is saying, really, you're focused on moving forward, right? Like having new things come into your life, whether this is moving, new job opportunities, new friends, like new hobbies. And the Temperance card is saying you're approaching everything in a way where it's like slow and steady. You're not rushing anything. So maybe you're okay with the relationship dynamic right now because there is no expectations, but be careful, because the 8 of Swords can talk about like getting too comfortable with just the status quo. And trust me, while Pluto is doing its thing, you know, conjunct planets and square planets, it's going to create that pressure. Obviously, Pluto being the ruler of your 8th house, as it's squaring stuff relating to your 7th house and relationships with your Scorpio moon, it's like, okay, well, we can be intimate, and then all of a sudden there's all these feelings that come, and it's like scary. And, you know, the square to your 11th house is, are we friends? Are we something more? I don't think it's as quick as just running off and like, you know, like moving on, because it's saying like, hold on, slow down, pump the brakes a little bit, really think things through, make sure this is what you want to do. As long as you're not complacent, you're fine. Okay. So there's no need to rush anything. Temperance is also talking about being in a state of healing right now and like needing to heal things, and that certain people can come into your life and you can have a relationship with them emotionally or physically that can serve a purpose, that can be therapeutic, but not being in a situation where you're being stuck, right? And also, as you're having all these planets go through Taurus right now in your second house, this is about reinvesting in yourself. This is about self-esteem. This is about building yourself up, feeling good, right? Like being in a situation where you're like, it's about me, it's not about other people. And if I can feel empowered and loved and appreciated by other people, that's enough for me. And it sounds selfish, but like that's kind of what the second house is about. So if you've got somebody who can make you feel good about yourself, be present with that process before you feel like you have to just move forward very quickly. Don't see things as being black and white right now. Because the Eight of Swords is really saying if you get stuck in this like rigid mindset that everything has to be perfect and cookie cutter and it has to be according to a certain way, you're kind of losing that sense of like what's really happening right now, where there is this total transformation that's going on, and it can be very healing also in the process. So it's okay for things to be messy. It's okay for things to be undefined. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me know, give me some feedback on how that plays out. And definitely the Temperance card, such a great time for healing stuff. That is for sure. All right, so I've got Kimberly, Sage Moon, Sushimita, Elizabeth, Kayla, Stephanie. We got another one from Dorothy there. All right, so let's see what Kimberly has to say. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought we had the wrong person. Okay, so who was it that had that? So where is she? Give me your reading, Takaya. Send me your question. I'll get you next. All right, so we have Kimberly, who says, let's see. Any new love coming my way? I am a Sag rising, Scorpio sun, Saggy moon. Girl, you got Jupiter going into your 7th house. Are you kidding me? June and July is going to be awesome. The Venus Kazemi is actually going to be in Gemini. So Venus will pull ahead of the sun. We will see that, I think, in June. And that's going to be in Gemini in your 7th house. So that's supposed to be the appearance or the emergence of a new relationship. It could be more than one, to be honest with you. It could be more than one. So let's take a look. Let's see. So is something coming in for Kimberly? You're welcome, Enchanted. Thank you, Dorothy. I appreciate it. All right, so we've got 3 of Swords, 5 of Swords, 8 of Coins. So there's a lot of under construction vibes that are kind of coming from these cards. So this is past, present, future. There's no cups coming up, so there's nothing indicating, yes, there is like a knight in shining armor coming in, but stay with me. 3 of Swords in the past position is like healing and mending a broken heart, okay? I think about Sag risings and everything that's been kind of going on with the Jupiter transit, the Uranus transit, everything in the 6th house, which has been very much about healing. Physical, emotional, like embodiment stuff, you know, healing stuff in regards to like health, self-esteem, health and diet. So 3 of Swords coming up, this makes sense that there is a sense of like healing and kind of getting your act together before you kind of connect and you meet with another person. The current position is 5 of Swords. So this can feel a little conflicting. There can be this sense of being like, you know, I want to meet somebody, but I'm not sure. And I want to connect with somebody, but I feel like the people I want to connect with, you know, they're not really communicating with me. Notice he's standing there holding all the swords and people are walking away. They've got their backs turned. So it can also talk about getting back into the swing of dating and like meeting people and like putting yourself in a position of being vulnerable or being uncomfortable, but like you know, putting yourself out there so that way you can actually meet someone, and maybe feeling a little conflicted on whether or not you're ready or who or where you're supposed to be meeting someone. So there's something kind of like off about that right now. This can be talking about a process that you're working through, you know, working up the nerve to go to new places, meeting new people, and not getting too frustrated with the fact that nothing has developed yet. Some of the best transits are going to be happening for you in June and July. You're going to see Venus go into your 7th house. Jupiter will make an emergence into your 7th house of relationship for the first time actually in 12 years. For Scorpios, it's 8th house to the sun, so it does represent a transformation. So a transformation within relationships. Think back to what happened 12 years ago, last time you had this transit. Most likely there was somebody who came around. You will also see Mars meet with Jupiter in Gemini. That'll be taking place this summer. And Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. So likely there could be more than one person you're meeting, or you're connecting with somebody and you're like, this is really exciting. So I do think things will get better over the summer. 8 of Coins is talking about working hard at getting to know people, putting yourself out there, making an effort, making a conscious decision to be like, I'm going on dates, I'm trying to meet people, I'm connecting with others, I'm talking to strangers, and actually treating it like a job, right? So you're gonna have to be like, okay, I'm blocking off, you know, Friday nights to go out and socialize, or like every other Saturday, I'm gonna commit to going on a date with somebody just to kind of get out there. It is going to take some work and some dedication to be able to see this through, but I feel like if you're really focused on trying to find someone of quality, because 8 of Coins is about quality, you will find that somebody will come in who may have similar interests, similar jobs, some kind of background that's similar to you, and somebody who equally is trying to meet somebody who's trying to build something together. 8 weeks, 8th month, okay, so any which way we look at it, we're coming into June, so July going into August seems to be kind of the timing, but you're gonna have to work at it, right? And also, as a Sag rising, Jupiter in your 7th house will square Saturn, which means your partner's gonna be trying to get you out of the house, or you're gonna meet people who are gonna be like, I don't wanna hang out at home, let's go out, or let's travel, or come to me. So get outside of your comfort zone as you're meeting people. Good luck. All right, so we've got Takaya. So we've got, her question is, am I going to be able to hold on to my ancestral home after my grandma passes to the other side? It's complicated and my sister is being very vague and sort of elusive about the game plan. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what I can tell you about this, Miss Pisces rising. Jupiter going into the 4th house is generally very positive for expansion in regards to home and family. One thing I will tell you is Jupiter is your chart ruler. So Jupiter going into the 4th house is about spending time around family or some kind of family home being in question. The challenge is that Jupiter will square Saturn in your sign, and Jupiter is going to be in the sign of siblings. So it might mean that there's a catch where she's like, okay, well, we're getting the home, but here's the deal. You know, we're both going to share it, or somebody's going to live here, or, you know, we're going to keep it in the family, but we're all going to kind of split the expenses. Like there's going to be a catch basically that you're going to feel like, okay, well, this is limiting me from either physically living there or having possession over it. These cards jumped out. We've got 4 of Cups, the Hierophant, and the 7 of Swords. So there is some reason for you to feel a little suspicious because 7 of Swords is kind of fishy. It's about being vague, not being clear, there being something kind of fishy going on there, some kind of like rearrangement of things or half-truths that are being told. 4 of Cups is a card of being kind of disappointed and discouraged, and that's the right now position, you know, probably being frustrated, feeling like you're not being included or somebody's not telling you everything, or what they're offering you, you're not kind of like, you know, totally pleased with. We see him sitting under a tree with his arms crossed, and, you know, the Ace of Cups is being offered to him. So it means that something is being offered to you, but you're like, that's not what I wanted. That's not good enough. Perhaps she's going to say something like, well, you're going to get a piece of it. However, you know, other people are going to be living in it, or until we decide to sell it, and then it's going to be split up, and you're going to be like, that's all you're giving me? Or like, this is all I'm getting? The Hierophant does talk about tradition and order. And it can talk about relationships with older relatives and like what they want. So this could also talk about a will or an estate, what is being decided, you know, by a grandparent before they transition, how they want things to kind of stay in the family, you know, like what's actually going to be happening. This is also about order. And obviously, like I said, the 7 of Swords is being like, I don't know if I can trust the situation, but the King of Swords is the confirmation card. So it is saying likely there's going to be a conversation or something laid out in a document or paperwork that's going to determine what's the best way to be able to maintain and keep the home? So if you're wanting to hold on to the ancestral home, maybe you guys are going to be talking about, okay, this is what it's going to cost to maintain it or pay the taxes or to fix it up. And like realistically, if we want to keep it, does it make sense to rent it? You know, does it make sense for somebody to live in it and pay the taxes and kind of keep it up? There's going to be some decision that's being made. And it looks like it's going to actually be involving more of like a male family member. This is not a female family member. The King of Swords can be an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. This can also be about legal documents and paperwork, especially with the king coming up with the Hierophant. It can mean that there is an estate or a will or something that is set up to determine who's going to have what percentage of what. And I don't really see a transaction happening where the home is going to be sold. Like, I'm not seeing that. I do see that it's going to be a little tricky and some people are going to be a little agitated about just exactly what they're going to be getting. But if the goal is to keep the home in the family, I see that happening. I just have to tell you, like, you know, Jupiter going, you know, into Gemini and squaring Saturn, you'll be able to visit and kind of go and see the home or be with family, but there's no sense of you totally, you know, moving in and being in a space. So will it be kept in the family? Yes. Are you going to be thrilled with how this gets kind of set up? I'm not entirely convinced. And I would really ask if they're going to be making decisions and saying, this is what grandma wanted. I'd be like, show me the receipts. Where's the paperwork? Okay. So if you live there, be mindful, they may be talking about changes that are going to be made within the home, especially when Mars comes into Gemini and it moves into your 4th house. You'll see this later this summer because Mars rules your 2nd house of money. They might be like, okay, you live there. Now you're going to start paying some of the bills, or, you know, now you're going to help start paying for the homeowner's insurance, or now you're going to be responsible for, if you can't cover all the expenses, you're going to be renting, you know, one of the rooms out. Something like that may come up unless you come up with the extra cash. So watch for that. And good luck with your sister. Ask for those receipts. Ask for the receipts. All right, so we have got, let's see, who else do we have here? I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay, so we got Kimberly. All right, so next up we've got Sage Moon, and then Sushimita and Elizabeth. So I believe this is Katie. Hey Candace, my Saturn is sitting right on my moon. Ouch, I'm sorry. In the 12th, heading to my ascendant. Anyway, I want to know if I'm ever going to feel like things are working in my favor. Well, Saturn moon transits are difficult ones, my dear. That is not fun. One thing I will say is that as Saturn is leaving your moon and coming into conjunction with your ascendant, it does represent this whole like emotional clearing and purging. And obviously having a Pisces moon in the 12th house, it's subconscious, it's ancestral, it's about also feeling like loss of connection to home, family, roots, and it creates emotional limitations and depression and feeling of separation. Okay, so that happens. That's kind of part of the course. It's interesting that it happens right before Saturn is hitting your ascendant, because that is that recommitment basically to like a new version of yourself. It's about re-emerging as somebody who's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit, you know, more, I think, prepared when it comes to like the real world. And if Saturn is the ruler of your 11th house, then Capricorn, 11th house, is that correct? So there's new goals, and there's also like a new perspective in terms of how you're approaching your professional life or your appearance or your friends or your networks. So is it going to feel like things are ever working in your favor? Girl, just wait till the North Node gets into Pisces. When the North Node gets into Pisces and it hits your ascendant and then it hits your moon, you are going to feel very different. I guarantee that. But here's what the cards say. We have got the Chariot card coming up with the 6 of coins and the 5 of wands. So Chariot card is about emotions, things moving, lots of changes with emotions, home, family. This is feeling like things are out of your control, which is pretty common when you have like a Saturn transit. There is a sense of being like, I'm so limited, where can I go? Like, how can I get a better rein on things? But it's psychic, intuitive, subconscious. It's also things that are kind of going on behind the scenes. So you want to think about, you know, what's happening with the Chariot. Are you feeling like it's time to move or relocate? Are you feeling like there is some sense of feeling like restless or stuck in your home? Is there anything like that going on? Six of Coins does talk about things balancing out, things getting better, you know, receiving help or support from other people, receiving some kind of also support from the cosmos. Nobody tells you that about 12th house transits, but that is a time of introspection and having alone time and questioning our faith or our belief system or our philosophy. It can also be a time where we receive some kind of support from, you know, the spirit realm or from our ancestors or people who kind of have our back that we can't see. So it is about receiving some of that. But I think this is about more relying on your intuition. It's like everything I feel. Okay. So, you know, like when I think about Saturn hitting your moon in the 12th house, it's about like learning to kind of lean on that moon and like realizing and recognizing that either your intuition or your subconscious or your dreams are telling you something that you really need to pay attention to and relying on that more. Five of Wands comes up as a future position. And I feel like this is about feeling like you're fighting the inevitable. So if you've been, you know, combating or delaying making changes with your home, combating or making changes with, you know, spending more time by yourself, if you've been delaying anything that your subconscious has been telling you, like now it's time to kind of get into action. This is about feeling like you're getting hit with things left and right. And the reason why it's happening is because it wants you to make a change. You said that Saturn rules your 10th house, right? So if Saturn rules your 10th house of career, status, and reputation, and it's hitting your moon, it means that intuitively you may know it's time for me to make a change when it comes to work. And emotionally, things might be kind of weighing so heavily on you that Saturn transit on the moon is like, it might be about taking a break from work. It might be about being like, I'm taking a hiatus, you know, for a month, or I'm needing to actually kind of remove myself from the grind in the day-to-day routine because I actually need to be paying attention to what's going on with my spiritual health, my emotional health, my mental health, and like needing some downtime. And you have Saturn and Gemini. So it's also Saturn square Saturn, right? So Saturn and Gemini is a limitation of communication, learning, and exchange. So when Saturn goes into Pisces and it's in your 12th house, it's like not only having that limitation sometimes of communication, which eventually becomes your strong suit, by the way. Saturn will help you. This is a Saturn square. It's a closing square, which basically means you're having to kind of clear out anything that's more logical communication and things that make sense and stuff that you can read in books. And, you know, communication doesn't really work, especially with I think with Pisces transits, because it's so intuitive and emotional that there can be this feeling of being like, you know what, like there are some things I just can't find the word for because there's so many emotions. I don't know how to express myself. And really, I just feel like I need to just be alone. And that's kind of how this manifests. I feel like for you also, you're gonna feel the shift. Okay, you're gonna feel the shift as soon as the eclipses start happening in Pisces in the fall. That North Node goes into Pisces next year, in the beginning of the year, and the North Node's heading for your moon. It's going to be a time where something is opening up very significantly, and you may be feeling more so inspired and capable of initiating and creating new things when it comes to work and career. But right now, it's like, phew, okay, I'm kind of like putting my shield up, or I'm closing the curtains, and I'm like needing to like really be alone for a little bit to reevaluate what I'm investing my time and my energy into. That's how 12th house energy works, unfortunately. But you'll come out the other side of this. I would just say pay attention to where there's some nagging stuff that's coming up for you emotionally, because that 5 of Wands feels like if you've been resisting making a change, or if you've been resisting downtime, like now you're kind of getting hit with waves of feeling like, okay, I have no other choice but to take a step back, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Yoga helps, by the way, with Saturn transits, and Saturn in Pisces, 12th house meditation. This is also about isolation, going to a church. I mean, not necessarily to practice, but I've had a lot of people that are like, I go to yoga class, or I go to church, or I go to temple, and I just sit there and I feel better. So it'll give you the opportunity, even if you want to go and find like a retreat, or if you want to go and be alone in nature, or if you want to go and, you know, be by water, be by the beach, that'll really help improve your mood. We'll see you soon, Enchanted. All right, so let's see who else we got. Good luck. So we've got Sushimita, Elizabeth, and Kayla. Am I saying that correctly? Sushimita. December 5th, 92. My question is, I've been promised a promotion this year. When do we see that happening? And will it be good pay? I've been promised relocation to Delaware in the United States with my boyfriend and my dog by January, February 2025. How do you see this going, and any other career advice? All right, well, I got you. Well, you're a Sag, so certainly I feel like the eclipses happening in the fall in Pisces is good for like relocation, right? You'll see that in the fall, so likely you'll get more news about that. But it sounds like you're supposed to be moving beginning of 2025, right, when you have a Mercury retrograde, which rules your partnerships, and also a Venus retrograde, which is about work, in your 4th house. So likely the timing is actually pretty bang on with what they're telling you. But let's see, is it going to work out? Are you going to be able to move? Is there going to be good pay? What do we need to know about this situation? Okay, in this order, we have seen so much of that 8 of Swords. We need to sage these cards, man. So we have the Empress, the 8 of Swords, and the 5 of Cups. Now, the confirmation card for this is the Queen of Coins. Here's the deal. I see the job still going forward, but I do see there being some kind of like disappointment revolving around either what the salary is or like how this whole thing actually kind of comes about. I will say this again, in the fall, okay, so September-ish, when we have this eclipse in Pisces, as a Sagittarius, that is going to very much be about getting everything in order, making it possible for you to get the information to start the preparation of being able to move. The Empress is a positive card. So is the Queen of Coins. So it is saying, look, you know, there is going to be a new beginning for you, especially when it comes to your home and your living situation and your security and having what you need. I wonder if the 8 of Swords is more talking about feeling like there's going to be hangups or limitations, or there's going to be delays. Maybe you're doubting or questioning whether or not this is actually going to go through, and you're like, can I trust this? You know, I just can't see it happening. Like, it just seems like such a crazy change, or, you know, almost like an impossible thing that would happen. But we don't want to be wasting time or energy thinking negative thoughts about that. This is a card that's like out of sight, out of mind. If you start thinking about that, you're going to create some kind of anxiety or feeling limited in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. 5 of Cups. This is a card of disappointment, but this is also a card that's saying don't be disappointed because there's still opportunities and options here. So maybe they're like, look, we know we're going to move you. Yes, it's going to be spring of 2025. However, here's the catch. Or they let you know, there is going to be some salary cap. So there is going to be some kind of limitation because the Queen of Pentacles is coming up with the 5 of Cups. So you're not immediately going to go into the position making, you know, like the top salary. They're going to say, you have the job, we're going to have you relocate, we're going to make it possible, but this is what we're offering you. And you're going to be put in a situation where you either have to accept it, especially if you want the job, which looks like you will, or you're going to say, well, this is not what you promised me. I don't know if this is going to work. It seems like it's worth making the move and making the jump because it does look like you're going to be happy with the relocation and like the job. But it's also reminding you that there may be some things that they're not able to fulfill in terms of promises pertaining to the actual job and how it's been presented. Ask those questions in the fall when some of this stuff comes up with the eclipse, so that way you are not left unprepared or disappointed, and you can kind of hash that out before you get to some of those retrogrades at the beginning of the year. But timing-wise, it's kind of bang on for making those moves, but you'll be moving with like a Venus retrograde and a Mercury retrograde in your 10th house, so there can be some challenges, delays. Maybe they're offering, you know, other locations, or, you know, really start the process of looking for a home, I would say earlier. Really suss those out really well before you move, because a Mercury Venus retrograde in the 4th house, it can create some issues where it's like you see a place and the pictures look good, and then you get there and you're like, this looks nothing like the photos, this was terrible. So really do your due diligence to make sure that you're researching the area and also the home that you're going to be moving into, so there's no surprises. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We have Elizabeth and then Kayla. Elizabeth says, 3 cards on a relationship on the brink of massive change. Is there anything that indicates a split or staying together? What's up, Elizabeth? She says, Sun in Pisces, Moon in Taurus, Virgo rising. Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Sag, Jupiter in Sag, Saturn in Taurus, Uranus in Libra, Neptune in Sag. I love how you guys like put it all out there for me. So Virgo rising, and you've got your sun in your 7th house. So Saturn's coming into conjunction with your sun. It's going through your 7th house of relationships. It's about whether or not somebody is hiding out in the relationship or they're really showing up and doing their due diligence, basically. You've also got Saturn that is squaring your Mars, which is in the 4th house, and your Jupiter. So it's about growing together or growing apart and the impact that that has on your home, your emotions, and your living situation. So it's go time the next year with Saturn in your 7th house. And you can have some situations where partners, especially men, because the sun is there, are not handling their business. They're not taking care of themselves, or there can be blockages with work, blockages with health. There can be ego issues. There can be issues with responsibility and maturity in the relationship. So let's see. On the brink of massive change, is there anything that indicates a split or staying together? These are the cards that I get in this order. Whew. Some positive cards. For once, finally. We got Temperance, the Empress, and the 10 of Cups. I mean, to be honest with you, part of me, the rational side of me is like, I know her astrology and I still feel inclined to tell you September and then spring of 2025 is going to be a time to watch. Okay, so the truth is that the biggest things have yet to come in this relationship. Those time periods, the eclipse in Pisces in the fall, the spring of next year is like when you really have a lot of growth in the relationship with the North Node there. But this is like, are we getting married? Are we moving in together? Are we planning a life together? Are we doing these things? And like a sense of really like wanting to see that movement. Temperance is talking about healing, being in a process of like needing to heal a situation. The Empress is talking about life, growth, living together, family. It can talk about children. It could be talking about pregnancy. And then you've got the 10 of Cups coming up, which is talking about happy family, some kind of unity, some kind of growth. Like, what's going on here? Are you putting this person like on the hot seat and being like, you know, are we actually doing this or not? Like, what's going on? Jupiter's hitting your Saturn also. So that's really good in your 9th house. I'm seeing a lot of Virgo risings where it's like there can be this sudden turning point and they start to kind of realize what they want in relationships. And so they can be saying to their partners, especially with Saturn in the 7th, are we still in love with each other? What are we doing here? We need to make these changes. Are we, you know, growing together? These cards are really positive. And it makes me feel like in the end, some of the difficult things that you guys are going through are happening primarily to help both of you guys realize whether or not you're actually wanting to build a life together. And yeah, there's some hurdles and some challenges, but ultimately at the end of the day, that Empress card is saying this is about growth. This is about what you guys are building together, what you guys are growing together. This is about life. So she said, loss of a child, and we are going through it. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, if there's anything that I would say that's take away from that then is that if this is like a pregnancy, so if you guys were trying to conceive and you lost a kid, the Empress and the 10 of Cups is like having the rainbow baby, right? If this is losing a child, which obviously either way is kind of devastating, so I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that. Temperance is saying you can heal that and that this is something that is going to make you stronger in terms of the relationship with yourself, and lots of love coming from either feminine energies like friends, mothers, sisters, other people who are coming in. And then the 10 of Cups is like about like the rainbow that happens after the storm. So there is something good that will come from this and an opportunity to heal and be able to build together. But I don't see anything earth-shattering or breaking up or anything of that nature. I don't see that happening. I feel like this is going to be something that's actually going to have a part 2, which is going to be like a better ending. Okay? So sorry for your loss, but I hope that's helpful, giving you some insight, sending you lots of love. Who else do we have here? Let's see. You're welcome. I've got Kayla and then Miss Toddman. Let's see here. Kayla says, Tarot Live. There she is. What's up, Kayla? Kayla says, hi, I'm in the beginning stages of truly considering pivoting to a career as a hairstylist. I love any messages from spirit. I'm a Taurus ascendant, Sun and Moon and Venus. Okay, so Sun and Moon in Libra, Venus in Gemini. So I love this for you. Taurus rising with Sun and Moon in Libra in your 6th house. You would be killer as being somebody who's a hairstylist or a stylist of any kind. That's great for your positions. And Venus is your chart ruler, and it's in Gemini in the 2nd house, okay, which is about beauty, creativity, things that you do with your hands like cutting and coloring. It also means you can multitask. So I definitely feel like this is very good given your astrology. So let's see what Spirit has to say about making these changes. I love that you had a solar eclipse in your 11th house and you're making this change as well. That's so cool. So what do we need to know about Kayla seriously pivoting into becoming a hairstylist? Certainly Jupiter going into your 2nd house is good for making money, girl. I would say let go of any stress or doubt or worries about whether or not it will work. Because that's kind of coming up right now. The 9 of Swords is like, what if it doesn't work? What do I do? Like, what's the next step? Change is scary, right? Change is scary. But I think that all Libras, just across the board, I think about Pluto going into Aquarius, which is about having a change, and there's some kind of opportunity to do something that could be their own business or some kind of creative project or something that's going to be more creative and fun, and that's how they make money. I think about Taurus risings with all the transits in the 1st house where they're reinventing themselves, and it can also be like this really wonderful like glow up period for you in terms of your appearance. So kind of like, yeah, like having almost like a complete redo of who you are, how you look, how you're dressing, and like reintroducing yourself, you know, kind of like in this particular field makes perfect sense to me. 6 of Wands talks about being victorious and being really open to the idea and excited, and a lot of people encouraging you and receiving a lot of support from other people in terms of you making this move. 9 of Swords in the current position is stress, anxiety, worrying, worst case scenario. What if I fail? Okay, but what if you don't? So watch out for the doubt that's coming up here, because I do feel like you don't really have a lot to lose. It looks like the way that you're going about it is in a cautious, kind of steady manner. I don't see you being like, I'm going to go and buy a salon and, you know, like do this big thing. No, it would be like, I'm renting a small space, or I'm going to get a job somewhere. I'm going to kind of get myself situated. The Knight of Pentacles is about making cautious but intelligent business decisions. This is about messages involving money, resources, investments, time, energy, work. Slow and steady wins the race. So you're going to be approaching this in a way where it's like you're not throwing all caution to the wind and being like, okay, this is my end all be all, but you're actually going to start either building your clientele or building your business. And it looks like it's something that will actually like be successful. Like you will be able to make money doing this. And I think if anything, that Knight of Swords eventually develops into a king. Knight of Coins will develop into a King of Coins. So it can be about a business owner. And I think really what's going on right now is just more the learning how to manage yourself, learning how to, you know, budget things, learning how to figure out your prices. Like these are things that you're going to start doing. But Knights are dedicated to their cause and they're willing to work and get things done. And I think that the Knight of Pentacles is the one who's most likely to be really focused on bringing in money and having productivity. So this feels very positive to me. You just don't psych yourself out right now. Trust me, Jupiter going into your 2nd house is going to be good for money, and it could start as kind of like a side hustle, and then it could eventually turn into something where you're like, okay, this is my full-time thing, right? And you'll probably see that in the fall, actually, because you're going to have a solar eclipse in your 6th, and that might be when you really kind of segue into that more so full-time. Congratulations on making the jump. That's exciting. A fun career. You're going to be a hairstylist and a therapist, so get ready. There's definitely a lot of having to do both. Let us know how it goes. And let's see, we have got Miss Toddman says, can I get a quick general reading on love, please? You got it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been hanging out with us tonight. If you guys haven't already given the stream a thumbs up, please like the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed too, so that way you're alerted as to when we have new videos coming out. So this is for Miss Toddman. She wants a quick love reading, please. You got it. King of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, Three of Cups. What is going on here, Miss Thing? So King of Pentacles can be about a person kind of coming into your life, okay? It can be a man or it can be a more masculine energy. King of Pentacles is usually an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn type vibes. Of all of the kings, this is my favorite one because he's like daddy. So he's the one who is going to be solid, secure, confident, successful, mature, reliable, all those fun earthly things. This can be talking about a long-term opportunity, a connection with somebody who you're feeling valued by or that you're feeling very invested in. Nine of Cups is also talking about your wishes. So if you're looking for a relationship or someone you can feel kind of closer to, or if you're hoping that you're going to catch the eye of somebody who kind of resembles this person, that there can be some kind of wish fulfillment. Then we have Three of Cups, which in a love reading can mean a couple different things. In the final position, it does talk about celebration, coming together, socializing, maybe going out, going to a party, some kind of get together, and then meeting someone. And it's just like magic. This person appears. In other situations, the Three of Cups can talk about more than one person. And in this situation, I think that's the case because the confirmation card is the Knight of Swords. So it is saying like you might meet more than one person. You might be thinking, I really, really want to meet somebody who embodies these qualities. That person comes in and then you meet another person that's very different. They're quick, they're chatty, they're communicative, they're fun. And you're like, wait a second, I thought I really wanted this in a relationship. And now I'm meeting this other person and like now there's a couple different cooks in the kitchen. Three of Cups can talk about more than one person that you're entertaining. So I don't think there's going to be a lack of connecting and like meeting with people. I think there's going to be a sense of thinking that there's a solid connection, meeting another person and being like, these people are so different. Which one do I want? Really enjoying the process of getting to know them and really enjoying kind of like dating. And then the Nine of Cups is about being like, it's about at the end of the day, what makes me happy? What's going to make me happiest? Even though this one's reliable, you know, the Knight of Swords is exciting and fun and witty and chatty. The only thing I'll tell you is if it does come down to like an earth sign and an air sign, and I'm not picking sides, but Knight of Swords is somebody who can come in very quickly, but they don't always stay. So I think the message of the Three of Cups is like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Entertain who comes in, see who you have like a connection with, connect to these people, really decide whether or not, you know, you're interested in dating them more seriously. Give yourself a little bit of time and focus more on what you're getting. Like, are you getting your needs met? The Nine of Cups is about what you've been wishing, you know, and asking the universe for. So it might kind of show up and say, okay, we're going to give it to you in two different situations. Which one do you want? Take your time in assessing that and also be mindful that there can be other connections with other people as well, not just with you and two people, but communicate. You know, the Knight of Swords says communicate, ask questions, ask them, what are you looking for? You know, are you dating somebody? Are you married? Are you single? And really suss that out and make sure that there's clear communications about their intentions and what they're looking for as you start to kind of get to know them. So you have an idea with what you're working with. But pretty good in the love department, to be honest with you. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Miss Toddman. And thank you, Dorothy. I appreciate your generosity. I saw that kind of come in. That's all I have for you guys tonight. But thank you guys for joining me, for hanging out with me on your Friday night. We're here every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We alternate between tarot and astrology. Next week, we're going to be doing astrology. So make sure you're subscribed and check out the link in my community tab if you want to sign up for reading early. You guys can always get in the queue really like the day before or the day of a reading if you don't want to wait, or you can join my level 3 memberships. I'll be back here on Sunday. We're going to talk all astro weather. This next week, astrologically, is wild. We have so many conjunctions with Venus and Jupiter and Uranus. It's going to get kind of wild out there. So make sure that you guys are subscribed so you can catch that video. If you want to see more about me, my one-on-one readings, or my work, if you want to learn tarot or astrology, click the links in the description below. Head over to beyondtheveiledtarot.com. You guys can check out my courses. I teach beginnings courses on both of these topics, and I also have my availability if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me personally. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy, and I will see you back here very soon. Take care.